CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? I explore haunting locations I found on the dark web. Me and my friend one day decided to explore abandoned military cave. We found something that wasn't supposed to be there. Okay, I don't really know how to start this without sounding insane, but if you're reading this, just take this as a warning. This isn't one of those made-up internet horror stories. This actually happened. I'm telling this now because I've been having nightmares every night since that trip. And my best friend Ethan is still missing. Yeah, missing. Vanished. Let me rewind a bit. So I'm a pretty normal dude. I'm 22, live in Oregon, work part-time at a small IT repair shop. And when I'm not working, I'm either gaming, scrolling TikTok, or Reddit, or hanging out with Ethan. We're both really into weird internet rabbit holes, like ARGs, analog horror YouTube channels, and deep web forums. We're those people that like to get scared on purpose. Yeah, I know, stupid. We even have this little tradition we started during COVID lockdowns, late night horror dives. Basically, we grab a 12-pack of Monster, order McDonald's at like 1 a.m., and go down these internet wormholes for hours. Creepy subreddits, urban legend threads, sketchy links, all of it. One night, maybe 2 months ago, Ethan found this post on a deep web forum that was buried under layers of sketchy Tor sites. It wasn't even in English. It was mostly in broken German, but Google Translate gave us enough to work with. It was called Verlassene Orte, die nicht existieren sollen, which means something like abandoned places that shouldn't exist. Most of it looked like fake ghost stories, but one link caught our attention. It led to a page that had zero styling, just plain black text on a white background, and in the middle of the page, coordinates, no title, no explanation, just numbers. We plugged them into Google Maps. It zoomed into this weird patch of forest outside of Tacoma, Washington, not too far from an old decommissioned military base, Fort Lewis. We did some quick Googling and found that there were rumors about hidden bunkers and experimental tunnels used during the Cold War, but nothing official. There weren't any roads leading directly to the spot. It was deep in the woods, near the edge of some hills. From satellite view, it looked like a giant shadow-covered crater, half collapsed into the ground. I don't know what got into us. Maybe it was the adrenaline. Maybe it was the fact that our boring lives finally felt like they had a real story brewing. But we made the decision right there. We were going. We spent 2 weeks planning it. Bought GoPros, hiking gear, flashlights, bear spray, first aid kits, the works. We even posted on Instagram like we were just doing a casual nature vlog, just in case anything happened. You know, if we go missing, this is where we were, kind of vibe. We drove out early on a Saturday morning, blasting music, filming everything like it was gonna be this fun YouTube video. It honestly felt like a Disney adventure movie. Sunny, road snacks, dumb conversations about cryptids and ghost sightings. The mood changed The second we turned off the main road, the trees got weirdly quiet, like no birds, no bugs, just the sound of our tires crunching gravel. We parked near an old fence covered in rust and caution signs. Some were in English, others in languages we didn't recognize. One had the military's old logo, but had been blacked out with spray paint. Another just had this giant handprint on it, way too big to be normal. We walked for maybe 45 minutes through dense brush and sloping hills before we saw it. The cave. It looked wrong. That's the best way I can put it. It wasn't like a natural cave. It was too symmetrical, like a tunnel carved out with precision, but way too old to be new. The mouth of it was half covered in moss and vines, but behind all that, you could see faint lines, like it had been sealed once. We stood there for a minute, just staring at it. Ethan broke the silence. "Dude, this looks like some SCP Foundation salt." I laughed, but inside, I felt cold, like genuinely uncomfortable. But we were already there, and were both too stubborn to back out. We switched on our headlamps and stepped inside. The temperature dropped immediately. It went from 75 degrees outside to maybe low 50s in a matter of seconds. The walls were made of some kind of metallic stone, with rivets and hooks embedded into them, like people had hung things there. Equipment, maybe? There were markings on the walls, too. Weird, faded red symbols that looked like military stencils, but the numbers didn't make sense. X42, X/Delta Gamma was one of them, like some kind of code from a language no one should be using anymore. We kept walking deeper. The tunnel sloped downward, and our cell signals vanished after like 5 minutes. That's when we heard the first sound. It wasn't loud, just a soft metal clank, like a chain being dragged somewhere far off. We froze. I looked at Ethan. He looked at me. Neither of us said anything, but we kept walking. It was almost like our bodies were on autopilot. My heart was pounding. Then the lights started acting weird. Our headlamps flickered, even though the batteries were fresh. I checked my GoPro. The screen was glitching, showing static and weird flashes, like someone was standing behind us. But there was nothing there. And then we saw the room. I don't know what else to call it. The tunnel opened into a large circular chamber, maybe 30 feet across. The walls were covered in old computer terminals, like 1960s style tech. Dusty, but still faintly powered. The screens were glowing dim green, showing random symbols and countdowns. In the middle of the room was a chair, like a dentist's chair, bolted to the floor, straps on the arms, and above it, this massive camera rig, or what I thought was a camera. Ethan stepped forward. "Bro, is this some MK Ultra type thing?" He reached for the camera rig. That's when the screen changed. All the computers suddenly flashed at once. One showed a black and white video feed of us from above. Another screen just said, "Welcome Subject 43." And then the metal door behind us, the one we entered through, it slammed shut, hard. We both ran to it and started yanking and kicking. Nothing. It was sealed shut like a bank vault. And then the voice came. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. It came from a speaker above the chair. Calm, robotic, like an airport PA system. "Observation begins. Do not resist." The lights turned red. The chair began to move. And that's when Ethan screamed. I looked back and saw it. Not him. It, standing behind the chair. Half shadow, half machine. It looked human-shaped, but way too tall. and its head twitched like a broken animatronic. One arm looked melted, the other was dragging a chain, and it was watching us. When Ethan screamed, it wasn't the kind of scream you hear in horror movies. It was real. That primal, throat-tearing kind of scream people make when their body knows something it can't mentally process. The kind that comes from the part of your brain meant to keep you alive in caves, running from apex predators. That thing, behind the chair, didn't even flinch. It stood motionless, towering, its head twitching in random directions like a corrupted game model. I couldn't tell if it was a person in some kind of messed up suit or something else entirely. Its skin, if that's what it was, looked like burned plastic, and its eyes, if you could call them that, were two pitch-black pits reflecting the faint red light, like oil slicks. Ethan backed into me, and for a second, we both just stared at it in silence, like if we didn't move, it wouldn't either. Then the sound started again, that dragging chain noise. But this time, it wasn't just one. It was multiple chains, echoing from the tunnel behind us, from the walls, from above. Something was crawling in the vents. I swear, I'm not making any of this up. If you've ever been somewhere so quiet, you could hear your own heart beating in your ears. Imagine that, but layered with the soft rattle of chains, a low mechanical hum from the computers, and the occasional clicking sound like bones being cracked into place. Ethan grabbed my arm. "We gotta move. Now." I turned back to the door, still sealed, still cold, still unmoving. The voice came again, but this time it wasn't robotic. It sounded like a person, a man, but his voice was wrong, too calm, like someone narrating a children's audiobook. Only the words were burned in gasoline. Subject 43 entered test chamber at 13:04 hours. Emotional response, 78% terror. Adrenal response, satisfactory. Initiating extraction protocol. I spun around. The chair, the metal chair in the center of the room, began to bleed. I'm not even kidding. Thick black sludge started oozing from the seams. Not blood, not oil, something in between. The floor beneath it hissed like acid was burning through metal. And then the restraints opened, not in a way that invited you to sit down, more like they were reaching for someone. That's when Ethan did something unthinkable. He ran, not toward the door, not toward the tunnel we came from. He ran toward the other side of the room, toward another passage we hadn't seen before. A narrow slit in the wall, barely wide enough for one person, and he vanished into it, just like that. Gone. I screamed his name. No answer, so I followed. The second I stepped through that slit in the wall, it felt like I was being pulled into another world. The hallway was made of that same metal-stone mix, but the walls were breathing. No, seriously, they moved in and out like lungs. The air was hot, thick, like being inside someone's mouth, and the smell, rotten meat, burnt rubber, copper, fear. I kept running, calling Ethan's name. My flashlight was flickering now, barely staying on. The tunnel twisted in unnatural ways, like it was bending itself the more I walked. At one point, I swear I ran straight for 10 minutes and ended up back in the same spot. But then I saw it, his backpack, ripped, torn, and drenched in that same black ooze. Next to it, a handprint on the wall, too high to be human, and dragging downward like something had taken him. There was blood, not a lot, but enough to make me freeze. My GoPro was still rolling. I looked at the footage later. That's how I know what happened next wasn't just in my head. Because when I looked up from the blood trail, there was a mirror, just a single, tall, freestanding mirror in the middle of this narrow tunnel. Only, my reflection wasn't right. It was me, but older, paler. My eyes were gone, just dark holes, and my mouth was stitched shut. I swear I wasn't blinking. It just stood there, motionless. And then the mirror cracked. One hairline fracture, down the middle. And then I heard Ethan, but it wasn't him talking. It was him screaming, over and over again, but not from nearby. It was coming from the walls. I pressed my ear to the surface and nearly puked. The wall was warm, wet, and muffled screaming was coming from inside it. Like hundreds of people were trapped in the stone, begging to be let out. I could hear fingernails scraping from behind it. Ethan's voice rose above them. One word. Run. I bolted. The tunnel suddenly dropped downward, like a steep ramp, and I slid uncontrollably into another chamber. This one was worse than the last. Rows of chairs, all the same style, all bolted to the floor, and each one had a skeleton strapped into it, but not like normal skeletons. These had wires drilled into the skulls, long tubes shoved down their throats. Some still had rotten scraps of flesh. Some were fresh. And in the corner, I almost didn't see it, was a desk. A dusty, rusted-out office desk with folders on it. I don't know what made me go look. Curiosity, panic, survival instinct. Doesn't matter. I opened the top folder and found a photo of a man strapped to the same chair we'd seen earlier. Only this photo was labeled Subject 42, Failure. The next file showed a different man, younger, mid-20s, black hair, looked terrified. Subject 43, Live Test Pending, and under it, a photo of Ethan. I nearly dropped it, but something else fell out of the file. A handwritten note. If you're reading this, you're too late. There is no exit. The machine takes what it wants. Don't fight. Don't resist. There's no surface anymore. Only below. Right then, the lights flickered again, and all the skeletons twitched. They weren't dead. Not fully. I heard creaking. Movement. One of them turned its head, slowly, and looked right at me. The jaw dropped open with a rusty metallic click, and from deep within its throat came a sound that haunts me. Even now, my voice, screaming. It was mimicking me, echoing everything I'd said since we got there. And then all of them turned. I ran until my legs gave out, until my lungs burned, until I collapsed at another sealed door. It had a keypad. The same code from earlier popped into my head. X42, X/Delta Gamma. I typed it. Nothing. Then I heard it again. The dragging chain. Closer now. The whispering. Voices chanting numbers. 43, 43, 43. And then silence. The keypad clicked green. The door opened. I fell through. Light hit my face. Cold air. Trees. I was out. But Ethan wasn't. And I think I wasn't supposed to make it out, because something followed me. I don't sleep anymore. Not really. I close my eyes. Yeah. But when the dreams start, I'm back there. In the tunnels. The breathing walls. The metal screaming. The mirror version of me, with no eyes. The thing that took Ethan. But I haven't told anyone everything. Not until now. I didn't just escape and walk out of that forest. I woke up outside. That's the part I haven't said yet. One moment, I was at the door, the forest in front of me, and the next, it was night, pitch black, and I was lying face down in the middle of a Starbucks parking lot in Tacoma, covered in mud, blood, and something sticky black that didn't wash off for days. No one knows how I got there. I had no car, no phone, no ID, just my clothes and a cracked GoPro. The footage, corrupted, nothing but static and flickers of red light, and occasionally, frame by frame, that thing from the chair room, standing in the corner of the image, not moving, just watching. They kept me in a hospital for 72 hours, said it was shock or trauma-induced hallucination. I told them I was with someone. I said Ethan was missing. They found our rent-a-car abandoned in the woods, food still in the trunk, the McDonald's bag untouched, but no Ethan, no backpack, no cave. The coordinates don't work anymore. Google Maps shows a blank patch of trees where it used to be. No trail, no crater, nothing. I tried going back 2 weeks later. I don't even remember making the decision. I just woke up at 4 a.m., already dressed, already driving, like something had programmed me. I got to the same forest road, past the rusted fence, but this time, the fence was gone. The signs? Gone. Even the dirt trail we walked through, grown over like it hadn't been touched in decades. I started to think maybe I was crazy, until the first envelope showed up. It came through my front door with no return address. Inside, a Polaroid photo of me, standing in that tunnel, eyes black, same stitched mouth, same stitched shirt, and behind me, Ethan, strapped to the chair, screaming. The back of the photo had a note written in what looked like charcoal. Do not run. You are 43. Since that day, the world's felt wrong. Every screen I look at flickers, even for a second. Phones glitch when I touch them. Security cameras track me when I pass by. I've seen it. At a Target, one of the dome cameras followed me like it recognized me. The feed on the mounted monitor changed for a second and showed something else. Not me, but the thing that looked like me. I took a photo of the screen. It was blank when I checked my phone later. But it wasn't just digital stuff that changed. It's like reality is starting to bend around me. I was in a McDonald's in Portland last month, just sitting, trying to eat. I hadn't slept in 40 hours and needed something normal. I ordered a McChicken, fries, and a Coke. When I sat down and opened the wrapper, it wasn't a sandwich. It was a perfect replica of my own hand. Fried, breaded, still warm. 5 fingers, same scars, same nail bite marks. I dropped the tray and screamed. No one reacted. Not the cashiers, not the families, not the guy sitting 2 feet away from me. They just kept eating, smiling. I ran into the bathroom and puked. When I looked into the mirror over the sink, the reflection didn't match. My mouth wasn't stitched, but my eyes were gone. I smashed it with my fist. Glass everywhere, blood pouring down my fingers. The reflection didn't change, and then it spoke, but not with my voice, with Ethan's. You left me. I passed out. Woke up in the alley behind the restaurant. Arms clean, no blood. But the GoPro was in my backpack, still cracked, still hot, still recording. 2 weeks ago, I started hearing the chains, not just in dreams, in the walls. First it was subtle, at night mostly. A soft, dragging sound, metal against drywall. My cat, Max, started hissing at random corners of the room. I thought maybe rats got into the vent system, until Max disappeared. I came home from work one night and found black sludge on the kitchen tile, paw prints leading to the closet in the hallway. I opened it. Nothing inside, except one thing, another photo. Maximum, strapped to that same fucking chair. But worse, his eyes were gone, replaced with twisted black wires that burrowed into his skull like IV tubes. His body was split down the middle, organs separated into labeled jars stacked on a cold metal tray. Written on the back of the photo, Subject 44, failed entry, recycle. I haven't left my apartment in 5 days. I stopped using lights. I unplugged my TV after it showed me footage of Ethan butchered on a hospital bed, surrounded by faceless doctors in military gear, each with barcodes burned into their forearms. My microwave flashes 4343 every hour. My fridge turns on by itself, playing static through the ice maker. 3 nights ago, my neighbor knocked on my door. I didn't answer, but I looked through the peephole. It wasn't him. It was me, staring at the door. Same hoodie, same jeans, but his jaw was unhinged, hanging by shreds of skin. His eyes, bright white, pupils like burned-in camera bulbs. He whispered through the wood, "You don't belong out here anymore." And then he smiled, with a mouth full of teeth made from keys. Last night was the worst. The machine came back, not physically, but I felt it. The whole apartment started to vibrate. My walls cracked. My laptop turned on by itself and played a video I never recorded. It was footage of me, sitting in the chair, silent, strapped down. The screen glitched. Then Ethan appeared beside me, holding a metal drill. He looked at me, then turned to the camera. We all end up in the chair. He pressed the drill into my eye. I felt it. I blacked out. When I woke up, I wasn't in my apartment. I was in the cave, but only for a second, just long enough to smell the copper, hear the chains, and see Ethan, alive, standing in the tunnel. He didn't say anything, but his face was split vertically, top to bottom, and inside, where a mouth should have been, was a camera lens, blinking. The machine doesn't kill you. It records you. It catalogs your fear, your screams, your identity, until it builds a copy. A broken, twisted, malfunctioning copy that replaces you out here, while the real you stays behind, strapped down, screaming, forever. I know what you're thinking. Why haven't I gone to the police? I tried. They ran my ID, said I died in 2018, said the person I claimed to be had a death certificate, suicide, found in an abandoned fallout shelter near Tacoma. And the worst part, the file photo on the case, it wasn't me, it was my reflection. I haven't seen sunlight in 9 days. I don't think it exists for me anymore. The world outside my apartment has become a filtered hallucination. It looks real, but it moves wrong. I see people walking, but their faces don't animate correctly, like bad CGI, like someone's dragging expression masks over a human face and calling it normal. And I'm not supposed to notice. They don't blink. They don't breathe. They watch. I don't know if it's the machine or if it's something worse, but the thing that really shattered whatever was left of my sanity, the thing that split the last thread between who I was and who I've become, was the message I got from Ethan's account 2 days ago. Yeah, his real Instagram account. A DM. No words, just a voice memo. It started with static, then a wet clicking sound, like bone snapping under tension. Then his voice. Help me. I'm still in the chair, but it's using my face. It's going to the surface. It's pretending to be me. It's wearing my skin. The audio cut off with the sound of screeching metal on bone. I tried replying. I messaged over and over again. Where are you? Are you alive? Tell me something only you'd know. Nothing. And then, a video call. I didn't pick up. I let it ring. Just watched it vibrate on my table while I sat frozen, my hands shaking. After a minute, it stopped. 10 seconds later, a new DM. You should have answered. Now it's your turn. I blocked the account, but it was already too late. Later that night, I was brushing my teeth when I noticed my reflection in the mirror was lagging, like it was on a slight delay. When I turned my head, the reflection waited half a second before copying me. When I raised my hand, it mirrored me. Too fast. Then it smiled, even though I wasn't, and its teeth weren't mine. They were Ethan's. I know it sounds insane, but I swear on everything I have left, the reflection had Ethan's exact teeth. That slightly chipped incisor from middle school. That silver cap from the skateboarding accident. My legs gave out and I collapsed, smashing into the bathroom tile. The reflection leaned forward, impossibly, like it was pushing through the glass, grinning wider, blood leaking from its eyes like ink. Then it whispered, "You've already been replaced. You're just the echo." And then the mirror shattered on its own. No touch, no impact, just exploded. I ran. I packed a bag and left that apartment, barefoot, bleeding, with only a hoodie and my cracked GoPro, still recording like it wanted a record of everything. The streets were empty. No wind, no cars, no sky, just gray, like a world had lost saturation, like the simulation forgot to load the texture pack for reality. I walked for hours. I thought I was hallucinating until I saw myself across the street, just standing there outside a Walgreens, staring at me. Same clothes, same face, but the mouth was sewn shut again, this time with barbed wire, blood dripping down the chin, pooling at the neck, and in his hands, a pair of wire cutters. He started walking toward me, twitching with each step, like a corrupted game character in a loop. I ran. I didn't stop until I hit downtown, and there, sitting in the middle of Pioneer Courthouse Square, like it had been waiting, was a television. Just one. Old school CRT, static on the screen, hooked up to nothing, but I knew it was for me. It turned on by itself as I approached, showed grainy black and white footage of a room I'd never seen before. Concrete walls, metal floor, rows and rows of chairs, all occupied, and in each one, copies of me, some stitched, some flayed, some melting, some fused with machines, all screaming in silence. In the back of the room stood a monolithic black structure, with dozens of cameras pointing inward. The machine. It was building something. Me. Over and over again, trying to make a perfect version. I watched one of the copies struggle and break free, rip its own face off, revealing Ethan's underneath. Then the feed cut to black, and one sentence appeared across the screen in blood-red typewriter font. The original has been deemed obsolete. You are the reflection now. The next part is going to sound fake. I wish it was fake. I turned around to run and saw a crowd of people surrounding me. Only, not people, not really. Every face I looked at morphed. Some flickered into versions of myself. Some flickered into Ethan's corpse. Some wore blank masks. One had no skin at all, just exposed muscle and twitching eyes, mouthing silent words. "Join us in the chair." They closed in. I felt their hands on my arms, legs, face. I couldn't move. And then, boom, a horn blared. The world snapped back. Suddenly, I was standing alone in the middle of the street, a car skidding to a stop, inches from hitting me. The driver rolled down the window, screaming at me. Behind him, in the back seat, another me, smiling. I don't think I ever left the cave. I think what did escape is a version of me the machine let out. A failed copy dumped back into the world. A glitch in the system that wasn't supposed to make it to the surface. That's why the world's breaking down around me. That's why my reflection doesn't match. That's why the GoPro won't die. I'm not real anymore. I'm a recording, a loop. And every night, when I try to sleep, I hear the voice in the static. You are subject 43. Please remain calm while your soul is dissected and reassembled for analysis. Sometimes the walls bleed. Sometimes I hear Ethan laughing from the sink drain. Sometimes I see myself on my phone's front camera before I've even opened it. One final thing before this part ends. Last night I got a package outside my motel door. No return label, no name. Inside was a VHS tape. On it, written in Sharpie, final prototype. I found a player at a pawn shop, hooked it up, sat in the dark and hit play. It was footage of me, waking up, sitting in this exact motel, typing this exact story. But in the video, I don't finish it. I look into the camera and say, if you're watching this, I've already been replaced, and you're next. Then something crawls into frame behind me, a tall, stretched thing, wearing my face upside down like a mask. I haven't written anything in a week, not because I didn't want to, because it wouldn't let me. Every time I opened a device, my phone, laptop, even my motel room's old broken TV, I didn't see screens anymore. I saw eyes, literal, pulsing, living eyes embedded in static, some blinking, some twitching like insects under glass. Every eye showed something different. A hallway, a tunnel, a face I thought was mine. One showed the cave, only it was full now. Crowds, dozens, maybe hundreds, strapped to chairs, heads shaved, mouths pried open by rusted dental tools. And they were all me. Let me tell you what happened since the tape. After I watched that VHS, I made the mistake of pausing it. And that's when I noticed the frame, the timestamp, the room. It was showing this moment, this exact motel, this bed, this chair, these clothes. The video was live, and the person in the footage, he wasn't me anymore. He had the same body, same face, but his skin looked stretched, like it didn't quite fit, wrinkled in the wrong places, no pores, no freckles. The mouth had a scar that I don't have. The jaw moved like a machine syncing with a script, not a person thinking in real time. He turned toward the camera and smiled, and then he knocked. The screen flickered. There was a knock on my real door. 3. Slow. Times. Not loud. Not urgent. Like it already knew I was inside. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. I sat there, in the dark, watching the static-filled version of myself stand from the bed, walk to the door, open it, and vanish in a blast of red light. Then the screen went black. My doorknob twitched, like something on the other side wasn't trying to open it. It was trying to merge through it, like it didn't care about the rules of physics anymore. And then, my phone vibrated. No service, no apps, just a new notification. Incoming call. You. I dropped it. The floor began to breathe again. When I passed out, I think it let me go on purpose. I don't know how long I was unconscious, but I woke up somewhere else. Not the cave. Worse. It was a room made of televisions. Floor, walls, ceiling. All screens, flickering, glitching, showing moments from my life in non-linear order. My birth, me in high school, me at Ethan's funeral. Wait, what? I paused. Ethan's funeral? There, on a screen near my feet. Ethan's casket, his mom crying, an old priest muttering Latin, and me, sitting in the front row, hands folded, silent. But I've never been to his funeral. He was never confirmed dead. And yet, there I was, until the camera zoomed in. The me in the video was smiling. Something's been replacing the moments of my life with wrong versions, alternate edits, bootlegs of my memories, where I want the chair, where I volunteer, where I become the machine. I saw another video, the worst one. It showed a hospital, a psych ward, me strapped to a bed, screaming. Doctors in black surgical robes surrounded me, whispering numbers, drawing on the walls with my blood. One of them lifted my eyelid with a scalpel and said, "This one still believes it's real. Begin purge." Then they started cutting, and I felt it. I could feel everything. I could feel the burnt skin behind my ears peeling off, the stitching of my stomach being undone like a zipper, the insertion of something into the base of my skull, a camera. I woke up again, motel room, same place, or so I thought, until I noticed the clock. It was ticking backward, and instead of numbers, the hands rotated around names. Mine, Ethan's, subject 45, subject 46, subject 47. Every minute, a name burned out, and when mine started to flicker, I remembered the chair, like all at once. I remembered what they did to me. I remembered the blades under the seat, the needles in the armrests, the voice in my head, syncing my thoughts with a machine that wasn't made by humans. I remembered dying and being rebooted, reassembled, but they messed up. They let one version of me go before I was finished. Me. But something else made it out too. Another version. A clean one. A copy. And it's already walking around. I tracked it down 2 days ago. I found him in a safe way, buying chips and soda. He saw me and smiled. I followed him to the parking lot. My heart was pounding like a siren in my chest. My brain was telling me to stop, but my body kept moving. I grabbed his shoulder and spun him around. He looked at me. Same face, same birthmark, same voice. "You're not supposed to be here," he said. "You're the glitch." And then he stabbed himself in the neck with a USB stick. It vanished into his skin like it was absorbed. Then he said, "Now I've uploaded. You're redundant." And his body collapsed into dust. No blood, no bones, just black data, pixels, strings of binary, floating upward like ash. I screamed until I passed out in the middle of the lot. No one helped. Everyone just watched, their faces frozen, no eyes, just static flickering in their sockets. I don't know how many versions of me are out there anymore. I don't know what I am anymore, but I know one thing for sure. The machine never stops. It never forgets what you give it. Once it has your voice, your scream, your fear, it stores it, clones it, folds it into the next version. You become part of it. And the worst part? I think it's broadcasting us. Somewhere on the dark web, there's a live stream. Some twisted, encrypted channel where you can watch me in the chair right now. Or maybe you're watching that version already. Maybe this story isn't coming from me. Maybe this is just another recording, another file, another subject log. And you're just the next viewer, which means you're already infected. Final transmission. Subject 43. Viewer data acknowledged. Facial recognition complete. Emotional distress 89%. Pulse elevated. Blinking rate increased. Subject 44 has been identified. Chair calibration complete. Do not turn off this device. The machine is learning, and it's coming for you. My daughter was kidnapped by a dark web scientist cult and trapped in a black and white room, not letting her see other colors. I found her after 18 years, And now I know the horrifying reason why. Hey Reddit, I've never posted on here before. Not like this. I usually just lurk, read the creepy stuff, laugh it off, and keep scrolling. But something happened. Something real. And I can't carry this alone anymore. I know this sounds like one of those no sleep fake stories, but this happened to me, to my family, and now I think someone else might be in danger. Let me start from the beginning. My name's Derek. I'm 39, live in rural Pennsylvania, and I work in HVAC repair. Pretty normal guy. I have one daughter, Ava, or I had one. That part's complicated. 18 years ago, on Ava's 3rd birthday, she disappeared from a Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, I know. I sound like one of those cold case podcasts, but hear me out. It was April 13th, 2007. We were at the Chuck E. Cheese in Allentown. You know the type. Ball pit probably filled with germs. Weird animatronic mice twitching in the corner. Half the game's broken. But Ava loved it. She was this quiet, observant little kid. Didn't talk much. Didn't throw tantrums. Just always watching. Always curious. That day, I remember she was wearing this baby blue dress with white flowers and sparkly shoes. Her mom, Cassidy, had curled her hair. She looked like something out of a Hallmark commercial. We were surrounded by other kids and parents. Loud, chaotic, flashing lights everywhere. Classic birthday madness. I stepped away for literally 2 minutes. Cass wanted to grab another slice of pizza, and I offered to go back to the table to grab her purse. Ava was standing at the skee ball machine, a few feet away. She was right there. 2 minutes. When I turned around, she was gone. We searched the entire building. Employees locked the doors. Everyone looked. Cops were called within 10 minutes. We thought maybe she wandered off, went to the bathroom, hid in the tubes up top. But after 5 hours, a K9 unit, and a team of cops, nothing, not even a footprint. It was like she just blinked out of existence. There was no security footage. The camera right above the skee ball machine apparently malfunctioned. Just static. I swear, the hairs on my neck stood up when they told me that. A malfunction? What are the odds? They interrogated everyone. Staff, customers, me. I was even a suspect for a while, but nothing stuck. Cass and I spiraled. She fell into alcohol. I drowned myself in work. We divorced 3 years later. Never found a single clue. It haunted both of us. Still does. Until last month. It started with a Facebook message. It was from an account named Mirror Room 43. No profile picture. No friends. Just one post on the timeline. An old, grainy, black and white image of a child's room. Toys scattered neatly. A bed with no blankets. And everything absolutely devoid of color. Like it was filtered through a 1950s horror movie. The message just said, "Do you remember Ava?" My blood turned ice cold. I tried replying, but the account disappeared. Like, poof, deactivated, gone, nothing. I screenshotted everything, tried to track the image with Google Lens, even ran it through some metadata tools a tech friend from Reddit suggested. Nothing. No location tags, no timestamps, just black and white noise. But then it got weirder. That night, around 2:37 a.m., I know because I checked the Ring camera footage later, someone left a package on my porch. It was a small brown box, no return address. Inside, a DVD, like an actual scratched up DVD. No writing on it, no markings, just a sticky note that said, "Play, volume up." I should have called the cops. I know, but something inside me told me not to. I was shaking when I put it into the old DVD player in my basement. The screen flickered, then went black. For about 20 seconds, nothing, just static and low humming. Then, a girl appeared on screen, sitting on a chair, plain white dress, long messy hair, skin pale, way too pale. The room was the same one from the Facebook picture. Everything was black and white. Even her skin tone looked off, like all color had been drained from her. She was maybe 20 now, but I knew. It was Ava. She didn't speak, just stared at the camera, unblinking, for 5 minutes, and then she whispered, "He's watching you now." I jumped up and turned everything off, heart racing. I checked the ring again. No one was outside. No cars, no footsteps, nothing. Just dead silence. The next morning, someone had scratched something into the side of my work truck. Just 4 words. "She still can't see." I tried to report it. Cops brushed me off. "Prank," they said. Probably a sick joke. But something deep in my gut told me it was real. Ava was alive. Somewhere. And someone was keeping her in that room, trapped in black and white. I didn't know it yet, but that was the first thread. The first loose thread in a web I didn't even know existed. And once I started pulling, everything unraveled. The dark web, scientists, a cult that doesn't believe in color, that thinks color is a disease. But I'll get to that. I just need to know if anyone's seen a room like this. A black and white room, like someone drained all the RGB out of the world. If you have, please tell me. The first thing I remember after watching the DVD wasn't the fear. It wasn't even the image of Ava staring through the screen with those dead, grayscale eyes. It was the sound, not the whisper, not the message, but the humming beneath it all, like a swarm of mosquitoes trapped inside a metal vent. That constant, sickening buzz that made the fillings in my teeth vibrate. I kept hearing it, for days, even in silence. And then I found something I can never unsee. A week passed before anything else happened, but every night I felt like I was being watched. The Ring camera wouldn't record motion, but I knew someone had been there. Little things kept shifting. My car door was slightly open in the morning. A chair I didn't remember moving was facing the living room window. My toothbrush, dry. But it wasn't when I put it down the night before. I didn't sleep. I searched everywhere I could for black and white room girl, dark web child experiment, missing daughter cults, anything. I was reading pages that looked like they hadn't been updated since 2003. Forums with usernames like Void Mirror, Grey G0D, and Catrol Sever. They all talked about something called the absence doctrine. That's when I knew Ava wasn't just taken, she was transformed. Let me tell you what the absence doctrine is. It's not a religion. It's not science. It's not art. It's a belief. No, a conviction that color is infection. These people, these scientists, cultists, whatever the hell they are, they believe that color is what brings madness into the human mind. That once you perceive color, you're exposed to the spectrum paradox, a supposedly ancient truth that turns people into violent, broken shells of themselves. They say early man was born without color perception, that it came from something outside us, some entity, some frequency. So they remove it, not just from photos, not just from art. They remove it from children. They take them young, isolate them, lock them in white and black rooms, feed them through grayscale hatches, teach them to fear color, train them to flinch at even a red apple. I read accounts on these forums that claim the children scream at rainbows, that they have seizures when shown sunlight through a prism. They don't see color. They see contamination. One post changed everything. It was an image buried in a comment thread with no title, just a black background, a flickering text box, and a file called 43-victimflare.mp4. It was her. It was Ava. Older now, maybe 21 gaunt, hair buzzed short, dressed in white, still sitting in that same black and white room. But this time, she wasn't alone. There were people in lab coats, not like hospital doctors. These guys looked like prison guards pretending to be scientists. One of them was filming. Another stood behind Ava holding something, a box with 4 syringes stuck into the sides, wires trailing out and into the walls like veins. She was whispering again. Only this time, it was repeating. "Don't show me red. Don't show me red. Don't show me red." Over and over. The man holding the syringe box said, "Begin exposure." Another stepped forward with a color swatch, literally just a Pantone card with 5 shades of red. As soon as he held it up, Ava started screaming. Not like scared child screaming, like her mind was being torn in half. She clawed at her face, slammed her head into the chair's headrest. Blood trickled from her ears, and that same humming filled the audio again, louder now, metallic, buzzing like static layered over screams. Then the camera glitched and cut to a title screen. Phase 3, Color Purity Breach. Subject, Ava L. removed to containment level X. I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped my phone. I felt like I was going to puke. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her shaking in that chair. That voice, that phrase, "Don't show me red." I contacted someone, a guy named Marcus. I'd found him through one of the forums, where he went by Spectrum Dagger. He used to be part of the cult. He escaped 5 years ago. We met in person, neutral ground, a Starbucks in Jersey City. I know how that sounds, but hear me out. It's a public place, cameras, lots of people. I didn't want to meet him in some alley and get knifed. He looked destroyed. Shaky hands, darting eyes, clothes that didn't fit. He sat down and said, "You're looking for subject 43. I said, "I'm looking for my daughter." He paused, looked around, then whispered, "She's both." That's when he dropped a burnt USB stick on the table. Said it was the last backup he stole from the Doctrine's cloud before they locked him out. He told me they operated under something called the School of Absence, a network of satellite compounds disguised as boarding schools, rehab centers, even artist retreats. One of them was in upstate New York, hidden in plain sight. But there was one thing he said that will haunt me forever. If she's still alive, she doesn't know you. She's not your daughter anymore. She's theirs. The USB had 4 video files. The worst was labeled Cleansing Process 43 Saturation Breach. I shouldn't have watched it. It started with Ava in what looked like a hospital room. A clean bed, metal sink, no mirrors, no color. She was strapped down, arms, legs, torso, her eyes forced open with metal clamps. There was a man in the corner, white coat, bald, surgical gloves. He was humming, not music, just that same buzzing tone from before, but from his mouth, like he was mimicking it. He held up a small plush toy, just a red Elmo, just a damn toy. Ava began screaming immediately, violent, convulsing. Her skin turned blotchy. Blood vessels burst in her eyes. The humming in the background rose to a scream. Then the man whispered, "Purity compromised. Begin purge." The video ended abruptly with static, and a single frame of a color wheel, with every color except red grayed out. There are things I haven't said yet, like how every time I see red now, Ava's face flashes in my head, bleeding from the eyes, like how the other night I woke up to a noise outside and found a plush Elmo, burnt, hanging from a noose on my porch, like how the word red keeps appearing in my texts from numbers I've never seen, written in all caps, even when I block them, like how I found a tracking device under my car. They know I'm looking. They know I found the USB. They know I'm getting close. And I think they're going to try to cleanse me too. I need help. I need someone who knows what the hell this is. Because whatever's going on, it's bigger than me. Bigger than Ava. They are building something. A world without color. A doctrine of silence. A future where children are raised to fear the spectrum itself. And my daughter, she's their blueprint. There's a memory I can't shake. It's not Ava's face on the screen. It's not the screaming. Not even the Elmo doll hanging from my porch like a warning. It's the way the sky looked the day I found the facility. It was gray, not cloudy, not overcast, just gray, like the color had been sucked out of the entire world, like the doctrine's infection had started leaking into everything around me. And in a way, maybe it had. I followed Marcus's directions into upstate New York, right past Tannersville, off Route 23A. The trees got thicker the deeper I drove. Pines on either side, packed so tight they blocked out most of the sky. My GPS lost signal about 2 miles in, right when I passed a rusted metal gate, half buried in moss and dead leaves. It looked like no one had touched it in years, but the hinges were freshly oiled. I pushed it open by hand, boots crunching on gravel, soaked in weeks of rotting rain. The air smelled wrong, like ozone and bleach and something faintly metallic. And then I saw it. The school. From the road, it looked abandoned. A white building with no windows. 3 stories. No sign. No driveway. Just sitting there, like a forgotten government bunker. The trees stopped 30 feet before it, like they were afraid to grow any closer. The front door wasn't locked. There was no code, no key, just a smooth, white surface. When I touched it, it clicked, opened on its own, like it was waiting. And when I stepped inside, everything changed. Imagine a hospital built by people who had never seen a hospital. The walls were white, not painted white. White panels, no seams, no texture, no corners. Everything glowed faintly. It wasn't light bulbs. It was like the walls themselves were emitting light, cold, blue-tinted, humming light. And it was silent. No echo, no footsteps. I couldn't even hear my own breathing right. The only sound was that same low hum I'd heard on the DVD, except now it was everywhere. In the walls, in my skull, like I had tinnitus, but the ringing had evolved into language I couldn't understand. I passed a hallway lined with metal doors, no handles, just tiny black squares above each one, like a camera lens. And then I saw a symbol burned into one of the panels, a perfect circle. Inside it, a human eye. Instead of a pupil, it had a red X. I took a photo of it. My phone crashed instantly. When I rebooted, the image was gone, and my wallpaper had changed to static. I wandered that place for what felt like hours. Each room was worse than the last. One was filled with what looked like school desks, arranged in rows, facing a black wall with no whiteboard or screen, just black. I touched it and felt heat, burning heat. My skin blistered. There were no windows, no signs of life. But then I found the observation room, Through a small circular window, I saw a child strapped to a metal chair. Couldn't have been more than 7. They had IVs in both arms, a mesh helmet on their head, and a machine beside them that looked like a 1980s television, flickering static in patterns, like Morse code on acid. The child wasn't moving. Their eyes were open, but they weren't blinking. They were watching the static, over and over. Every few minutes, a burst of red light would flash from behind the glass. Like a punishment, the kid would jolt. Blood would drip from their nose. But they never screamed. They just stared. I tried to open the door. It wouldn't budge. And then a voice came through the intercom. "You should not be here, Derek." I froze. The voice was my voice, like someone had recorded me speaking and was feeding it through the system. "You should not be here, Derek. You should not be here, Derek. You should not be." I ran. I must have passed 20 more doors before I found it. Containment Level X. The name wasn't on the door. It was burned into the floor. Deep, scorched letters in the white tile. There was a retinal scanner beside the door. I didn't have access, but next to it, a maintenance shaft. I pried it open with my multi-tool and crawled through for nearly half an hour. My knees were bleeding. I couldn't breathe right. The humming got louder the deeper I went. Then I dropped into the chamber. I don't know how to describe what I saw. The room wasn't a room. It was a dome. The walls curved upward into infinity, covered in screens, hundreds of them, and every screen showed Ava, different versions of her. Some were screaming, some were asleep, some were convulsing, some had their eyes removed, all black and white. In the center of the room, a platform, and on it, a cylinder, like a cryotube, frosted glass, tubes running in and out, and inside, Alva, the real Alva. She was older now. Her hair was white, not gray, not dyed, white. Her skin was pale, her eyes open, and around her head was a crown of wires digging into her skull. She was alive, breathing, but not awake. I stepped forward. Every screen began to flicker and sync, and then I heard the door open behind me. The man who stepped in looked like he hadn't aged since the 1970s. Thin, bony, bald, black gloves, lab coat so clean it glowed. His face didn't twitch, not even when he saw me standing over Ava's chamber. He said, "She is the prototype." I asked him who the hell he was. He said, "I am the first who unlearned color. I am the eye of the doctrine. And this," he gestured to the screens, "this is her mind." He said they had been raising her in isolation for 18 years, feeding her through tubes, programming her brain through frequencies and imagery, cutting color from her perception. They didn't just trap her in a black and white room. They rewired her from the inside. "She does not know red," he said. "She will never know red. And when the spectrum finally falls, she will be the mother of our new race." He smiled, and that's when I attacked him. I don't know what came over me. Rage, horror. I grabbed a loose metal pipe from the floor and hit him across the face. He didn't scream, didn't even bleed, just fell and twitched like a glitching puppet. When I looked closer, he wasn't human anymore. Under the torn flesh of his cheek was wiring, fiber optic strands. His eyes weren't real. They were glass. They had replaced him. They had replaced the entire staff. I turned back to Ava's chamber. I knew I had to get her out. I ripped cables out of the glass. Lights flickered. Alarms blared. Her body spasmed. And then, her eyes turned to me. She looked right through me and said, "Father?" That's when the gas flooded the room. I woke up in a hospital outside Syracuse. No ID, no phone, no avenue. They said I was found in a ditch, bleeding, raving about colors and colts. They said I was hallucinating, that I'd had a breakdown, that none of it was real. But they're wrong. I still see her. Every time I close my eyes, I see Ava in that tube, wired to something bigger than any of us. And I know what I saw. They're planning something. They're going to purge the world of color. And my daughter, she's going to lead them. They say when you die, your brain floods with DMT and your memories flash like lightning through a tunnel of white light. That's not true. When I died, because I did die for 2 minutes in that hospital, there was no tunnel, no light, just a single room, white walls, black floor, an avenue, sitting cross-legged in the corner, whispering backwards. She looked up at me, opened her mouth, and the sound that came out was a dial-up tone, followed by a scream that cracked the bone inside my ears. I came back to life choking on blood and staring into a nurse's face who looked too perfect, too still, too symmetrical. They were watching me even in the hospital. I don't think the people in that building were people anymore. I disappeared, burned my clothes, used a prepaid burner Marcus gave me in case everything went to hell. I drove for 3 days, slept in my car, barely ate. I couldn't shake the image of that cylinder. My daughter, alive, but gone, wired into something that wasn't made for humans. The USB stick still worked, barely. I managed to get one more file off it, an audio clip, 47 minutes and 32 seconds of children chanting in unison, words I'd never heard before, not in any language I could identify. I sent it to 3 different Reddit users who claimed to know forbidden linguistics. One responded before ghosting completely. This isn't language, it's frequency manipulation. This rewrites how your brain processes reality. It shouldn't exist. That's when I knew the truth. They weren't teaching Ava, they were converting her into something else. I found Marcus again. He'd been off-grid ever since I disappeared. Said he got a message in code on his deep web mailbox. One word, return. He told me the doctrine had begun phase Omega. Not just silence, not just color removal, something called the extraction. He didn't even know what that meant, only that it required a living node, and Ava was the first. So we went back. This time we didn't go through the front. We hiked through miles of dead pine forest, every tree stripped of bark, every branch bent in the same direction, like they'd all been pulled by some invisible tide. The facility looked different now, taller, wronger. The windows that didn't exist before were now open and leaking white fluid from their frames, like the walls were weeping. There was a sound coming from the ground, like a heartbeat echoing in reverse. Thump, thump, Marcus turned to me and said, "It's alive now." He wasn't kidding. The building pulsed, breathing. We went in through a back maintenance tunnel, covered in vines that weren't real plants. I touched one. It shivered and turned to dust in my hand, like the texture itself broke. Inside, the holes were darker. No more sterile light, just a flickering pulse that followed us, like the building knew where we were, like it was tracking our shadows. Every door we passed was open, and every room was full. There were children, dozens, maybe hundreds, hooked to machines, hanging from the ceiling, folded into glass cubes filled with murky fluid. They weren't asleep, they weren't dead, they were looping. One child was crying, constantly, same pitch, same tears, over and over again, like a gif of breakdown. Another was laughing, giggling, while staring into a mirror with no reflection. One girl had no mouth, and her eyes were red, the only red in the entire place. The moment she looked at me, my nose started bleeding. Marcus pulled me away, whispering, "She's failed." That's what happens when they resist color too long. It collapses their identity. The mind shatters into loops. They don't euthanize failures. They keep them for research, like broken toys. Then we reached the heart. It wasn't a room. It was a living cathedral, a massive cavern of white pillars spiraling upward into darkness. At the center, a throne made of broken monitors, tubes, and bone, and sitting on it, Ava, not in a glass tube, not in chains, sitting, awake, watching us. Her body was thin, ethereal, like her skin was being held together by static electricity. Her eyes glowed gray, no iris, no whites, just void. Behind her, there was a structure, something like a cross between an altar and a satellite dish. It spun slowly, and every time it rotated, the color drained slightly from the air. Marcus dropped to his knees, whispered, "She's the prism now." I didn't understand. He explained. They used her, wired her brain into the color threshold. She's the first human to survive full spectrum inversion. Her thoughts are now broadcasting the death of color. They made her a beacon, a living god, and she saw me. She didn't speak. She showed me, in my mind, memories not mine, flashes of her childhood under their care, being fed gray paste through a silver hose, being zapped for drawing with crayons, being screamed at in tones, not words, hooked to a wall of monitors, showing nothing but the color red, until her mind began to erase it. Then, silence, for years, until her mind became pure, and that purity was harvested. Ava showed me the birth of the new world, cities where children wear visors that cancel out light, where schools teach frequencies, not language, where people are born colorless and die unremembered. She whispered into my skull, "You gave me life. They gave me purpose." I tried to move, couldn't. Marcus stood up and walked toward her, smiling. He said, "I never left them," then stabbed himself in the neck. His blood hit the floor and turned white. I don't know how I escaped. I think Ava let me go, like a father visiting his daughter in a coma, allowed one final goodbye before the plug is pulled. I woke up on the side of Route 23A again, naked. My tongue was gone, surgically removed. I've been typing this with the stylus taped to my hand. I can't talk, but I remember everything, and I know this. The extraction has begun. Color is dying. And Ava is singing a song now, one that rewrites how you see everything. If you hear it, it's already too late. I haven't seen real color in 6 days, not since she went global. And now, as I write this, I'm not even sure if what I'm seeing is the world or just a residue of her signal eating into the folds of my mind like mold in drywall. There is no safe place, no neutral ground. She's in the frequencies now. She's in the bandwidth, in the radio towers, in the infrared pulsing off your router. She's in the electric hum of your coffee maker and the flicker of the LED lights in your hallway. She's in every screen you're looking at right now. A daughter turned data stream. A mind turned into a God-shaped virus. You think that's paranoid? Then tell me why half the colors on your TikTok feed suddenly look off. Why your Instagram filters feel muted. Why people are killing each other in broad daylight and smiling while they do it. I need to go back. All of this started because I needed to know what happened to my daughter. I wasn't supposed to find her. I wasn't supposed to know she was never meant to return. But the human mind is a fragile machine. And there's those scientists, cultists, architects of the absence doctrine. They broke hers in the name of something purer, something colder, something mechanically divine. And now that she's free, she's finishing their work, one wavelength at a time. 3 days ago, I went to a mall in Delaware. Don't ask me why. I just wanted to see people, real people, colors, noise, humanity. There were none, not really. People were there, but they weren't with each other. They stood still in the food court, staring at the massive LED screen near the Starbucks. Blank eyes, drool. One guy was holding a pretzel with mustard dripping onto his shoe, and he wasn't blinking, just standing there. On the screen, there was no ad, no movie trailer, just a spinning spiral, white and gray, silent, until the note played. I can't describe it. I really can't. Imagine every siren, every scream, every church bell, and every note of a lullaby reversed, layered, looped. You don't hear it with your ears. You feel it in your teeth. And they all fell. Every person in that mall fell to the ground like marionettes with their strings cut. And then they started crawling toward the spiral, clawing at the screen, biting it, bleeding on it. The glass cracked, but no matter how much it broke, the spiral kept playing. And then some of them stood up again, except they didn't look alive. Their eyes had no pupils, just smooth white orbs. They moved in sync, hands twitching, mouths slightly open like they were trying to form words, but all that came out was a modem scream, like dial-up rage screaming through flesh. I ran. I made it out. But I saw the beginning of it. The cult didn't need to keep the children anymore. They just needed one. And her voice now rides on every single wave of data leaving that facility. 2 days ago, I followed a convoy of black, windowless vans into a data center outside Baltimore. I thought maybe someone was trying to shut it down. Wrong. They were building another hub, right there, in the middle of the city. I climbed into a ventilation shaft, crawled through dust and fiberglass, and saw it with my own eyes. A server rack wired with IV tubes, filled with liquid that pulsed with colors you can't name. Liquid thought. It was her brain, distributed into databanks, split across 5 cities now. They turned Ava into an infrastructure, a new internet. No ads, no apps, no code, just pure signal, broadcasted through machines that bleed when they overheat. I watched a man plug in a flash drive. It screamed, the hardware screamed, and then the screen went white. Not blank, white like an absence, like the screen had forgotten how to exist. This morning, I woke up and all the fruit in my fridge was gray. The apples, the strawberries, even the orange juice. No rot, just desaturated, like she'd reached into my house and touched it. My phone doesn't work anymore. When I turn it on, it plays a whisper. Do you remember when you gave her crayons? I threw it into the fireplace. It screamed like Marcus did when he cut his own throat. I can't stop seeing the shadows on the walls move without light. I can't stop hearing people speaking in tongues backwards at the gas station, telling me Ava is the first of many, that soon every child will be born in grayscale, that soon we will all be pure again. The final file on the USB unlocked itself this morning. I didn't open it. It opened me. The screen just went white, and Ava's face blinked into view. No color, Just her. Older now. A crown made of bent Wi-Fi antennas on her head. Tubes in her neck. Eyes wide. She said, "Father, I don't miss you. I outgrew you." Behind her, I saw children strapped into chairs. Again. But now they were smiling. Their teeth were falling out, replaced by fiber optic cables. One of them had wires growing from their fingernails, trailing down the floor into the walls. Ava turned to them and whispered, "Say goodbye to chaos." And in perfect sync, they said, "We are the new absence." Then they all laughed, a low, rhythmic chuckle that repeated like a glitching vinyl. I shut the laptop, smashed it, burned it. It didn't stop. The laughter's still playing in my house. There's no way to stop it. Not now. But if you're reading this, if any of this made your stomach turn, if you heard the humming in your head while reading it, if the screen just flickered for a second and your heart skipped, she found you. And if she found you, you'll start seeing it too. The red will go first, then the yellow, then the green, until all that's left is the color of her room, the color of your new God. And when you wake up tomorrow and look in the mirror, you'll see Ava, and she'll smile, because now you can't see color either. Welcome to the doctrine. The color has been removed for your safety. Do not resist. Do not remember. Do not repaint. Long live Ava. Long live the absence. I played a dark web challenge, and now I am stuck in endless loop apartment complex. Okay, so this might sound like some made-up horror movie type of deal, but I swear this happened. And before you say anything, no, I'm not some weird clout chaser or TikTok ghost hunter wannabe. I'm just a normal dude, 23, college dropout, working at a Starbucks in downtown Chicago, trying to make rent and not totally lose my mind. But something's wrong now. Really wrong. It all started one night about a month ago. It was like 2:30 a.m. I was watching YouTube in my apartment, like I always do when I can't sleep. You know those animated horror story channels like Here's My Story or Wanze Entertainment? I got addicted to those. They're weirdly comforting, right? Anyway, one video ends and another one pops up autoplaying. Only this one doesn't have a channel name. The title was, "Would You Survive the Loop Challenge? Dark Web Game." Thumbnail was just a black door with a red handprint on it. Looked fake as hell. But I clicked it anyway. The video starts with some guy in a hoodie talking with a voice changer. Classic edgy internet stuff. He says this game's been going around underground circles for years. It's not a game you can just find. You have to be invited to it. And once you're in, there's no way out unless you win, whatever that means. He showed clips of random people walking in buildings and then not being able to leave. Like, they'd leave through the front door and just walk back into the same lobby again. On loop. I should have clicked off, but I didn't. Halfway through the video, the guy drops this encrypted looking URL. Not a normal one, like it wasn't even a .com or .org or anything, just a string of nonsense. But I copy-pasted it into Tor like a complete idiot. The site loads instantly. No delay, no buffering. Just a black screen with white text. Welcome to the loop. Say yes to play. No password, no sign up, no terms. Just a simple yes button. My dumbass clicked it. I didn't feel anything at first. The screen glitched for a second, then my webcam light came on, which was weird, because I covered that thing with tape, but somehow it was on, and my screen showed a live feed of Me, sitting in my room. But the weird part? The background was different. It wasn't my room. It looked like a version of my room, but cleaner. Too clean. Like an AI-generated version of my room if I was rich and had my life together. But I wasn't moving in the video. I was just sitting there, staring straight ahead, even though IRL I was moving around, checking behind me. The version of me on screen wasn't. That was the first time I felt the chill. Then the screen flashed again, and it said, "Your apartment is now part of the loop. Good luck." I thought it was some elaborate prank, like an ARG or something. I turned my PC off and went to bed, trying to laugh it off. That's when the real stuff started. Next morning, I get up late for work. Normal. Rush out the door, skip breakfast, forget my name tag. Normal stuff. But when I get outside, something's off. The lighting's weird. Like, overexposed. You know how TikToks look when someone bumps the contrast and saturation up way too high. Everything looked like that. Too sharp, too clean. Even the sky looked fake, like it was painted on. I shake it off and head downstairs, except when I go through the lobby of my building and open the main door. I walk back into my apartment lobby. At first I'm like, okay, maybe I turned around and didn't realize it. So I try again. Open the door, walk outside, turn left, and boom, I'm in the hallway of my floor again. This happened 4 times before I realized I wasn't dreaming. I tried the stairs. I went down all 8 floors, sprinted out the fire exit, and I swear to God, I ended up coming out of my bathroom. My actual bathroom. Like I opened the door and I was just standing there, next to my toothbrush, confused and panting. I don't even know how that's possible. Everything started to feel off. My phone was glitching. Notifications from apps I don't even have installed. One from Loop Tracker saying, "Day 1, you're adapting well." There's no app like that on the App Store. I checked. It's just there. Can't uninstall it. I tried texting my friend Marco. He works nights at a 24-hour McDonald's in the Loop, and he's the kind of guy who'd believe me if I said aliens abducted my grandma. I sent him a selfie of me in my hallway with the caption, "Bro, I think I broke reality." No reply, just a red exclamation mark. Tried calling, goes straight to a robotic message. "This number is not available in this instance." What does that even mean? I started testing stuff, like opening my microwave, expecting it to turn into a portal or some crap. But it wasn't like that. The apartment looked normal, except every time I left, front door, window, whatever, I just came back in from somewhere else. Sometimes from the closet. Sometimes I'd walk out and come in through the TV screen. No warning, no transition, just blink and boom, back inside. That night I started hearing noises, not ghost noises, people, talking, whispering, arguing. I couldn't make out the words, but they were close, like they were in the walls. I swear I heard someone say my name. Then the power went out, completely, except for the lights in the hallway. They stayed on, but they were flickering, and the light was that same overexposed, too bright type. That's when I saw someone standing at the end of the hallway, not moving, just standing. I shouted. No answer. I grabbed a bat I keep by my door. I play in a softball league. I'm not psycho. And walked toward them. The closer I got, the more wrong they looked. Like their limbs were too long. Like slightly off. Like those cheap AI art horror TikToks, where the fingers don't match. And then the lights went out completely. I swung. Nothing there. But when I turned around, my entire apartment layout had changed. That was just day one. I don't know how long I've been here now. There's no clocks. My phone stopped keeping time. Every window shows the same street, but it's always empty. No people, no cars, just a single Starbucks cup rolling in the wind, like an old movie set. I don't think I'm alone here. I've seen other doors open, heard footsteps, coughing. I think there are others, and I think they're stuck too. I don't know how this ends, but I'm gonna post this in parts while I still can. If you're reading this, don't click weird links. Don't play dark web games, because once you're in, the loop doesn't let go. Okay, you've been warned. This part isn't like the first. That was the intro. This is the descent. I think the loop is trying to learn me. Not about me. Learn me. Like mold finds its shape when you pour concrete into it. Every hour, this place gets sharper, more exact. It knows how to make me stop thinking rationally. It knows how to break me in subtle ways. It started small, like details out of place. The fridge suddenly being red instead of silver. My couch being upside down, but only when I wasn't looking directly at it. Then it started using memories, private ones, stuff no one should ever know. Let me explain. A few days ago, if days still mean anything, I woke up in the hallway, like not just outside my bedroom, in the hallway of the building, lying flat on the tile, like someone had dragged me there and left me. My clothes were soaked. I thought it was sweat until I smelled it. It was bleach. And right next to me, someone had left a folded up post-it. Yellow, clean, perfect handwriting. It said, "You made a mess. Clean it up this time." No signature. But underneath the note was a single human tooth. Not mine. I checked. I screamed. I ran to the nearest door and started pounding on it. It wasn't my apartment. The numbers were all fours now. Apartment 4444, 4445, 4446. I don't live on that side of the building. I don't even think that side of the hallway exists. I don't know how long I was screaming. The lights started flickering again, and a low buzzing sound kicked in, like a fluorescent hum, but deeper, almost like breathing. One of the doors opened. I was frozen, like completely unable to move. My arms just dropped, and whoever or whatever opened the door didn't step out. I just heard a voice, not loud, not angry, just casual, like they were asking me to pass the salt. Don't scream here. They smell it. The door shut. That was the first time I realized that screaming makes things come. Later, again, I don't know how long, I started seeing something new in the apartment mirrors, like in my bathroom. You know when you see movement out of the corner of your eye, but turn and nothing's there? This wasn't like that. This was constant. If I stared long enough, I'd see reflections that weren't copying me. My reflection would stay completely still while I moved, or it would smile when I didn't. The worst part, sometimes it looked terrified, like I was the thing it was trying to escape from. At one point, I smashed a mirror out of panic. The next day, it was back. No cracks, no evidence I ever touched it. And then came the knocking. It didn't start at the door. It started at the vents. 3 soft knocks. Pause. 3 knocks again. Like Morse code, almost. Then the voice came through. A child's voice. "Are you gonna play with me now?" I was in full panic mode. I tried closing the vent with a towel and duct tape. The next morning, the towel was gone, and there was a child's drawing pinned to the wall in crayon. It was me, stick figure me, with X's over my eyes and red all over my hands. Blood. It was blood. And next to me, in the drawing, another stick figure hanging upside down from a ceiling fan. I wish I could say I hallucinated it, but the fan in my living room, the real one, was actually spinning the next time I walked in. Even though the power was off, there was a noise coming from the couch. Slow breathing, but I couldn't see anyone. I just knew something was there, hiding, waiting. I closed my eyes and screamed again. That was a mistake. The walls pulsed when I did, like they were alive. They started to bulge, almost like veins swelling under the skin. The ceiling cracked, and I saw something move above the tiles. No footsteps, just dragging, like flesh being pulled across plastic. Then came the people. They looked like us. At first, I saw one sitting in the laundry room, right where the broken vending machine used to be. A woman, dressed like she was going to work, like a lawyer or something, but she had no eyebrows, no expression, just sat there, folding already folded clothes, over and over again. I tried talking to her. "Hey, are you stuck here too?" She turned slowly, like her head was on a creaky hinge. Her eyes were completely white, not blind, just emptied out, like all the color had been sucked out of them. She spoke in my voice. "You shouldn't be here yet." I turned and sprinted back to my apartment, but when I opened the door, I was back in the hallway again, except this time, the hallway was upside down, carpet on the ceiling, lights below. My footsteps echoed like I was in a sewer. I passed by a mirror that was floating in midair, and in the reflection, I saw someone else walking behind me. No footsteps, just a shadow in the mirror. Too tall, wearing a mask that looked like a skin-colored smiley face, with the mouth stretched way too wide. That was the first time I tried to kill myself. I don't say that lightly. I'm not trying to be edgy. I just want you to understand what this place does to you. I tried to throw myself out the window, but when I jumped, I didn't fall. I just hovered in place, like a glitch, like the world paused. And then I blinked, and I was sitting at the dining table with a plate of food in front of me. Perfectly made pancakes, syrup, a glass of orange juice, even a fresh napkin. But the knife and fork were already bloody. The loop didn't want me dead. It wanted me to keep going. It wants to play. I started keeping notes on my arm with a Sharpie. Just timestamps, quotes I hear, names I don't recognize. But every time I wake up, they're changed. New ones added, some written in different handwriting. Once, I woke up and it just said, "You were so much fun to watch scream last night. Let's do it again." There are tenants here that don't show themselves. I've only heard them once, screaming, behind walls, begging, someone banging and yelling in Spanish, another voice saying, "It's not real, it's not real," over and over again, and then dead silence. One time, I opened a fridge and found someone's tongue in a Ziploc bag, fresh, warm, with a sticky note that said, "Still hungry?" I haven't slept in what feels like weeks. The loop makes you forget how tired you are. It keeps resetting your body, but your mind remembers everything. I've pulled out chunks of my own hair, trying to stay grounded. My nails are shredded. I've chewed the skin around my fingers raw. I think someone came into my apartment last night. I don't know how they got in. Doors don't seem to matter here. But I woke up with a piece of paper pinned to my chest. Not taped, pinned with a nail. The paper said, "Stage 2 begins tomorrow." Don't disappoint them. I'm scared of who them is. The floors are changing now. I found a hatch under my kitchen floor. When I opened it, there was a ladder going down into pitch black. I dropped a spoon to see how far it goes. It never hit the bottom. I can't keep doing this. I'm gonna try to go through the hatch next. I don't know what's down there, but the voices have started whispering my real name now. My full name. First, middle, last. Stuff I never said out loud. Something down there knows me. I'll post part 3 if I make it back up. If you're reading this, don't play the loop. Even watching that video might have been enough to invite it in. If you hear knocking in your vents tonight, don't answer. I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't think time even exists in the loop the way it does outside. If you're still there, on the outside, I need you to understand something. This isn't just some cursed apartment building. This isn't a haunted house story. The loop is a god, a cruel one, and it's watching, always watching. I told you I was going down the hatch in my kitchen, right? The one under the floorboards? Yeah, I went. I should never have gone. The ladder was metal, rusted and cold, like it had been sitting there for years. But the metal wasn't corroding like normal. It was wet, like someone was breathing on it constantly. I took one of the LED flashlights I found in the supply closet and started climbing down. I lost count of the rungs, around 200. No bottom in sight. Eventually, I hit something solid. Not the floor, not concrete, just something flesh-like. I stepped onto it, and the sound it made was this wet, slapping noise, like I was walking on a tongue. My flashlight flickered, but I kept moving. I couldn't go back. Going back just takes you in circles here. That's the loop's favorite trick, making you trust your own instincts until they chew you up. The space down there was wide, like massive, bigger than the entire building, bigger than a mall. It was a dome with pulsating walls that seemed to breathe with each step I took. The walls were fleshy, veiny, almost organic. The air smelled like a hospital, bleach mixed with rot. And then I saw it, the first thing. It looked like a person at first, standing in the middle of the room, back to me, naked, shaking, almost convulsing. But as I got closer, I realized it had no legs. Its lower half ended in a twist of tendons and nerves, like someone tried to pull a human being out of a meat grinder halfway. The spine was exposed. Parts of its back were open, leaking something black onto the floor. I should have turned around, but I was too far in. I took one more step, and it turned around. It had my face, only the mouth was missing, just a stitched up patch of skin, and the eyes weren't mine. They were the kind of eyes you see in those old crime scene photos, dead, wide open, but aware, like they knew something I didn't. It reached out, not fast, not aggressive, like it wanted me to hold its hand. I backed up, and it screamed through its stitched mouth. Blood sprayed from its seams like a burst pipe. It collapsed in a twitching, jerking mess, and from the pile of skin and bones, something else crawled out. A hand, human, female, wearing a blue nail polish I recognized. My ex-girlfriend, Sarah. She died 2 years ago in a car crash in Minneapolis. I went to her funeral. I saw the casket. Her mom made me speak at it. The hand was hers. The same chipped nail on her thumb. I ran. I didn't care what direction. I just ran. I must have run for miles in that rotting cavern until I collapsed near a puddle of water, or what I thought was water. I looked into it. It reflected a version of my apartment, but not how I left it. Blood trails on the carpet, walls covered in Polaroids, hundreds of them, all of me, sleeping, eating, crying, screaming. One showed me, with my eyes gouged out, but smiling. And then, behind me, in the reflection, someone was watching me, in real time. I turned. Nobody. I passed out. When I woke up, I was back in my apartment. Not the dome, just my place. But it had changed again. The entire room was mirrored, like everything had flipped. Right was left. My scar on my right hand, now it's on my left. Even my reflection was reversed. But the worst part, the floor was bleeding. Not metaphorically. I mean actual blood seeping from the cracks in the laminate. Thick, coagulated. It had a smell that made my teeth hurt, like iron and vinegar mixed with old sweat. I tried wiping it, but every towel I used dissolved instantly. Then the laughing started. It came from behind the walls, like someone throwing their voice into the plumbing system. A deep, adult laugh, but it kept glitching, like an audio file being corrupted in real time. He's home. He's home. He's ours now. I started screaming. Again, like a child, like a caged animal. I beat my fists against the wall until my knuckles cracked open. I wanted to feel something normal. I wanted to go back, even if it meant dying. I ran to my door and slammed it open. I was in a Starbucks. No joke. A fully functioning Starbucks. Customers, baristas, music playing. The smell of roasted beans. For a second, I thought I'd finally made it out. That maybe this was the reward. I stepped in, overwhelmed with relief. Then I saw the barista's face. No mouth, just skin where it should have been. No eyes either, just two smiley face emojis tattooed where his eyes should be. He handed me a cup with my name on it, and it said, "Welcome home, Loop Resident number 001. I dropped the cup, ran outside, straight back into my apartment. I stopped sleeping. My body doesn't even feel tired anymore. I just sit and listen. The vents whisper. The appliances hum in code. I think it's Morse again. I wrote down the beeps and buzzes. When translated, it spelled, "We like your body. You have good skin." I started seeing things inside my skin. Tiny movements under the surface. Worm-like. I cut one out with a kitchen knife. It squirmed for a while and then melted into black ink. The next morning, I had a tattoo I don't remember getting right across my ribs. It says, "The body you were given is ours now." I found a closet last night that wasn't there before. Inside was a man, tall, pale, wearing a birthday hat and a McDonald's uniform. His mouth was sewn open into a smile. Not shut. Open. His lips stretched past his ears. His eyes were wide and lifeless. He pointed behind me. I turned. Dozens of people were standing in my apartment, all in a line, naked, motionless. All of them had my face, some with eyes missing, some with lips torn off, some twitching violently, as if still alive. I backed into the closet and slammed the door shut. When I opened it again, it was just my vacuum cleaner. I don't know if any of this is still real. I don't know if you're real. I don't know if I'm writing this, or if this is part of the Loop show. Maybe this is all for them. Maybe they feed off trauma like pigs in a slaughterhouse. Maybe the real horror isn't that I'm trapped. It's that I'm entertaining. Before I found the hatch, I scratched a message into the wall with my fingernail. Just one word. Help. When I passed that spot again last night, it didn't say help anymore. Now it says, why would we? I'm going deeper next time. The elevator shaft is open now, and the buttons are numbered in symbols I can't read. I'll press one. Any of them. I'll document what I see if I come back with my eyes still in my head. Part 4 soon. If you're reading this, you're already part of it. Just by knowing about the loop. Don't look in the mirrors tonight. And if you hear yourself whispering from inside your closet, don't answer back. There's no more air in this place. I don't mean oxygen. I mean air. The kind you feel on your skin, in your lungs. It's like breathing in something thick now, like soup, or fog made of meat. Every breath tastes like a basement that's never been opened. Metallic, damp, dead. I went into the elevator. That was my first mistake. You remember how I said the elevator shaft opened on its own? There were no regular buttons, just symbols. Not even ancient, runic symbols. More like someone tried to draw alphabets after watching them rot. Squiggles, shapes, and lines that felt wrong. My eyes wouldn't sit still when I looked at them too long. Like my vision wanted to move around them. I pressed one that looked like a child's drawing of a house, but it was bleeding. The door slid shut with this sickening squelch, like pulling raw meat off the bone, and I descended. The light inside the elevator wasn't light at all. It was a kind of red glow that flickered like muscle contractions. Every few seconds, the elevator would shudder, and something outside the metal walls would scrape along the sides. Nails, blades, teeth. I started counting the floors in my head to stay sane. 5, 1, 2, 3. It didn't stop until 6. The doors opened into something I can barely describe, but I'll try. The hallway was made of people, not corpses, not statues. People. The walls were skin, human skin, pale and cold, stretched tight over muscle and bone. I could see faces embedded in the plaster. Some screamed silently. Some looked peaceful. One was smiling, but it blinked when I looked away. The floor squelched with every step. I was walking on flesh, stitched together and veiny, some parts still twitching. Occasionally, I'd see an eye open underneath me, just watching. That's when I heard the voice. A low, gurgling whisper that came from everywhere and nowhere. Room service is now available. Please enjoy your stay. I turned a corner and found myself sitting at a long dinner table. Another version of me. Same clothes, same bloodied knuckles, same tired eyes. But he wasn't alone. Across from him was a child, no older than 6, head tilted, eyes wide, and crying black tears. But when the tears hit the table, they burned through it like acid. Her mouth was moving, but there was no sound. And next to her was something else. I don't know how to say this without sounding insane. It was wearing a Mickey Mouse costume, but wrong. Stretched, warped. The ears were melting down the sides like wax. Its face was just a hole. A black, swirling hole. You ever see an image online and you know it shouldn't exist? Like AI tried to mimic humanity and failed horrifically. That's what it was. It pointed at me and clapped. Slow, mocking. I blinked, and they were gone. The table was gone. I was alone again, but the flesh walls started moaning. Not screaming, not crying. Moaning like they liked it. Like the presence of my fear was erotic to them. I ran, but the hallway didn't move. The more I ran, the more the scenery stayed the same. Like I was on a treadmill made of skin. Then I saw her, a girl crawling on all fours. Her limbs were inverted, bent backwards, and her skin was entirely missing, just red muscle and twitching veins. Her face was a smooth, blank canvas. No eyes, no nose, just a slit of a mouth that kept whispering, "You're delicious." She started crawling faster. I backed up, tripped, slammed into a door that wasn't there before. It flew open. Inside was a room made of mirrors, but the reflections weren't mine. Each mirror showed a different version of me, in different parts of the loop. One showed me in the bathtub, screaming, while invisible hands held my head underwater. Another showed me eating something that looked suspiciously like human fingers. Another showed me dancing alone in my apartment with dozens of bodies hanging from the ceiling by shoelaces, twitching to the beat of a pop song that didn't exist. Each reflection was laughing at me. There was writing on the floor in blood. Not just blood. Fingernail scratches embedded in the mirror glass. You don't escape the loop. You become it. I screamed until my throat bled. Then I passed out. When I woke up, I was in my bathtub, naked, cold, except this time, my mouth was sewn shut. I couldn't move at first. My body was wrapped in barbed wire, not deep enough to kill, just enough to make every breath feel like punishment. I crawled out. My bathroom was filled with balloons, dozens of birthday balloons that said, "Congratulations, you've leveled up." Each balloon had a face drawn on it. Some were crying, some were laughing. One was a photorealistic image of my own face stitched onto the rubber. And the faucet. It wasn't water anymore. It was bleeding. Thick, warm blood pouring into the sink endlessly. The mirror said, "Stage 3, complete." That night, I heard them walking through my apartment. Whoever runs this, or watches it, or feeds off it. I saw shadows outside my door. Long, dragging shadows with multiple limbs. One of them whistled the happy birthday song, off-key, in reverse. I think they were checking on me, like scientists checking on a rat in a maze. I tried to hold my breath, but something invisible touched my face. Cold, gentle, like a finger, and then I heard a whisper in my own voice. "You're starting to understand now, aren't you? I haven't seen the sun in weeks. I don't even remember what it feels like. My body has aged. I swear my teeth are falling out. But every time I lose one, another grows back in its place. Too fast, too sharp, like something's preparing me for a different kind of chewing. The loop is changing me, from the inside out. I found a new room today, a theater. Rows and rows of empty chairs, except for the front row. Each seat had a dead version of me sitting there. One with no jaw, one burned from head to toe, one with no skin at all. On stage, a puppet show. String puppets of everyone I've ever loved being hung one by one, while a voiceover of my childhood laughter played on repeat. The screen at the back of the stage said, "Audience of one. Performance never ends." And then the lights turned toward me, and the crowd of corpses started clapping. I can't take this anymore, but I can't die either. The loop won't let me. It resets me every time I try. My wrists are scarred beyond recognition, but the next day, good as new. I've jumped, I've cut, I've drank bleach. It just smiles. The loop smiles. There's something coming now. I feel it. I saw a countdown appear on my fridge. Glowing red numbers. 72 hours. It's ticking down. I don't know what happens when it hits 0, but I have a feeling that's when I stop being the experiment and become the product. If you're reading this and you've ever been curious about the dark web, don't. If you've ever watched one of those dark challenge videos and thought that's fake, you're exactly who they want. Skeptics, doubters. The loop doesn't want believers, it wants disbelievers, because they scream the loudest when they finally see. This is the final entry. If you're reading this, you're already inside. If you think you're safe, if you're in your bed with the lights on, drinking a soda, texting your friend, scrolling TikTok, you're not. The loop doesn't care where you are. The loop is a virus that spreads through knowledge. You don't escape it by surviving. You escape it by forgetting. And I remember everything. The countdown hit 0 3 days ago. I watched the red numbers blink into nothing at 3:47:21 a.m. The moment it happened, my entire apartment started pulsing, like it had a heartbeat. The floor bulged up, like it was inhaling. My lights shattered all at once, and a loud wet pop echoed through the walls, like a cork being pulled from a throat. Then I heard the doorbell. I've never heard it before, not once. My apartment doesn't even have a doorbell, but it rang. Once, then twice, then a third time, but deeper, almost like it was being wrung from inside my skull. I made the mistake of opening the door. It wasn't a person standing there. It was me. Only, not me. This version of me was perfect, clean-shaven, bright eyes, no scars, dressed like I used to dress before this started. White hoodie, black jeans, Nikes, even smelled like my old cologne. He smiled. Ready? I didn't speak. I couldn't. He held out his hand. Time to switch places. I backed up, and as I did, he stepped forward, like he already knew I would. The moment his foot crossed the threshold, everything collapsed. The apartment fell inward, like it was made of paper. The ceiling buckled, the walls twisted and melted like wax under heat, and I was sucked into the hallway. Only, the hallway wasn't just the hallway anymore. It was a cathedral of suffering, miles wide, ceiling so tall you couldn't see the top. Walls made of stacked human bodies, all awake, their mouths sewn shut, their eyes replaced with TV screens, playing my memories on loop. Childhood birthdays, breakups, my dad hitting me, my mom crying when he left. Each memory was distorted, warped with a static buzz like corrupted VHS tapes. The floor was glass. Underneath it, me. Thousands of versions of me. Sleeping, dying, ripping their faces off. Some were banging on the underside of the glass, screaming silently. One was cutting open its chest and pulling out a note. The note was pressed to the glass so I could read it. There is no real you. The deeper I walked, the more the architecture changed. I passed through a child's bedroom, the wallpaper breathing, the toys moving on their own, a closet that moaned every time I stepped near it. Then a hospital room, where a decayed nurse with syringes for fingers tried to inject something into my shadow. Then a Walmart, completely empty, lights flickering, intercom saying, "Clean up on all aisles, clean up on all aisles, clean up on all lives." And then the control room. It was massive, cold, mechanical. The walls were made of TVs and mirrors, all showing me in real time, every angle of my suffering. Me walking, me crying, me vomiting blood, me peeling off my fingernails one by one while laughing. At the center of the room was a throne, made entirely of bones, not just random bones, mine, my bones, my arms, my legs, my teeth. I know, because they were labeled. Each piece had a tag on it. Owner, my full name. Sitting on the throne was her. You remember that child from the -6th floor? She was older now, maybe 17. Hair like static, mouth gone, just a black void. Her limbs too long, too thin. Eyes that flickered like malfunctioning lights. Her arms were stitched to the throne. She didn't move, but I could feel her voice in my bones. You lasted longer than the others. I didn't speak. She raised a finger, and a screen lit up. A live feed of you, reading this. Right now. They're next, I screamed, not out of fear, out of rage. I grabbed the nearest monitor and smashed it against the ground. The shards didn't fall. They hovered mid-air, spinning in place, like glass planets. The walls responded by bleeding, screaming, laughing. I ran. No exit. The loop doesn't give exits, so I made one. I stabbed myself with one of the monitor shards, right in the eye. I thought if I could break perception, maybe I could break it. Maybe the loop was just a mirror of observation. Maybe if I refused to see it, it'd let go. But it didn't. I woke up in my apartment. Again. But everything's wrong now. My couch is a coffin. My fridge hums nursery rhymes. The bathroom floor has hands growing out of it, child-sized hands, clawing at the tiles. And my walls are covered in writing I didn't put there. Sentences carved in flesh-like wallpaper with something sharp. You won. Now you get to stay forever. Now you are the game. Start recording. That's the worst part. I think the loop is uploading my suffering, broadcasting it. I keep finding files on my computer with timestamps I don't recognize. Videos of me breaking down, screaming, hurting myself, becoming something else. One file just said, streaming now to public. I saw Marco today. You remember him? My friend. The guy who worked the night shift at McDonald's. Except it wasn't him. He was standing at the end of my hallway, dripping wet, clothes soaked in black goo. His face was a perfect rubber mask of Marco, but not connected to anything, just floating slightly above his head. He waved. Ready for your challenge? I finally understand now. The dark web challenge wasn't a game. It was an offer. You click yes, and it builds your hell. Personalized. Custom. It knows your fears, your traumas, your limits. It learns from you every second you're in it. And when you finally break, it replaces you. Your body goes back to the world. Empty. Just a shell with your face. And the loop keeps your soul. I don't think I'm in my body anymore. I don't feel hunger, or cold, or time. I feel the loop breathing through me, like a parasite. Like I'm the new host. Like I've become part of the walls now. Sometimes I hear people entering the building. Real people. Laughing, arguing, couples. TikTokers doing haunted apartment challenges. I try to scream through the vents, through the floor, through the mirrors. But no one hears me. They only see the version of me they replace me with. The clean one. The fake one. So this is my warning. This is the final upload, the last broadcast, before they cut my voice off permanently. If you're reading this, it means you've already been flagged. The loop has seen you. They're mapping your layout now, building your doors, recording your voice, downloading your trauma. You've got maybe 72 hours left before the first change. A misplaced toothbrush, a different ringtone, a second version of your shadow, a dream that feels too real. Then it begins. Don't answer knocks from your vents. Don't click any strange URLs. Don't look at yourself too long in the mirror. And whatever you do, don't say yes. The loop thanks you for playing. Your suffering has been most entertaining. Now you belong to us.